I arrived at Willow Creek Manor with a simple plan. Sit in the back, watch my sister get married, and finally feel like I was part of the family again. I wasn't there to make a scene. I wasn't even there to be recognized. The truth was, the only reason this wedding was even happening was because of me. $30,000. My signature on every contract. Venue, catering, flowers, cake, music. Every detail tied to my name. I called it my wedding gift. My parents didn't have the money. Vanessa and Ethan didn't either, so I stepped in. That's who I've always been. The reliable one. I walked up the stone steps, holding a modest navy clutch and a small gift bag. My dress was simple, nothing flashy. I wasn't trying to compete with my sister. I just wanted to belong. Vanessa was near the entrance with Ethan, greeting guests. For a second, I thought she might smile when she saw me. She didn't. Instead, Ethan walked toward me, his face tight. He didn't lower his voice. He didn't wait until we were alone. "You don't belong here," he said flatly. I froze. "What?" "You heard me," Ethan said. "This isn't your place. You're not welcome." It wasn't whispered. Two guests standing nearby heard him. My mother, Margaret, standing a few feet away, heard him. I turned to Vanessa. "Vanessa, are you going to say something?" She looked at me, then looked away. Her lips pressed together, but no words came out. "Vanessa," I said again, louder this time. "Really? You're just going to let him—" Ethan cut me off. "This day isn't about you, Madison. You've done enough already. It's best if you leave." I stared at him. My chest burned, but I kept my voice even. "Done enough? I paid for this entire wedding." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "And no one asked you to. Don't turn this into some performance." I almost laughed at the absurdity. Performance? Ethan, without me there's no food, no flowers, no chairs, no venue. Everything you see here is because of me. Margaret finally spoke, her tone soft but sharp enough to sting. "Madison, please, don't make this harder than it needs to be." I turned to her, disbelief flooding me. "You're siding with him." "It's her wedding day," she said, avoiding my eyes. "Don't start drama." "Drama?" My voice cracked despite my best effort. "I just got told I don't belong at the wedding I paid for, and you call that drama?" Vanessa finally looked at me, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe it's better if you go." That was it. No defense, no gratitude, no shame, just dismissal. The silence that followed was suffocating. Guests nearby shifted uncomfortably, pretending not to eavesdrop, though every word hung in the air. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just said, "Fine," and I turned around, gift still in my hand, and walked away. Each step down that driveway was heavy, but my head stayed high. I could feel eyes on my back, whispers already starting. I didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. By the time I reached my car, my hands were steady. I slid inside, closed the door, and sat in silence for 10 long seconds. Then I opened my phone. Every vendor contact was saved neatly in my folder. Willow Creek Manor, Dallas Catering Co. In Petals and Vine Florists, Sugar Lily Cakes, DJ Lux, Lux Rentals. All under one name, Madison Moore. I started with the venue. "Willow Creek Manor, this is Helen." "Yes, hi. This is Madison Moore, the contract holder for the Ross Moore wedding on the 17th. I'd like to cancel." A pause. "Cancel? Are you sure?" "Yes. Effective immediately." "Of course, Ms. Moore. We'll send a confirmation to your email. Thank you." Click. Next, the caterer. "Dallas Catering Company, how can I help?" "This is Madison Moore. Cancel the Ross Moore wedding banquet." Another pause. "Oh, all right. I'll update the system. You'll forfeit the deposit." "That's fine. Cancel it." Click. Florist. Petals and Vine. "Cancel the Ross Moore wedding order. This is Madison Moore, contract holder." "Yes, Ms. Moore. We'll confirm by email." Click. One by one, I dismantled the entire event. The photographer sounded surprised, the DJ disappointed, the rental company irritated, but none of them could argue. The contracts were mine. My name, my deposits, my rules. 10 minutes. That's all it took. 10 minutes to unravel 6 months of planning. I sat back in my seat, staring at the grand estate in the distance. Guests still arriving, music drifting faintly through the open gates, laughter carrying on like nothing had happened. But soon, they'd know. Because here's the truth. You don't tell the person who paid for your wedding that they don't belong and expect the show to go on. They wanted me gone? Fine. I'd disappear. But I'd take every dollar, every rose, every chair, and every slice of cake with me. And in less than 24 hours, the wedding my sister thought she was walking into would be nothing more than an empty hall. This wasn't revenge born out of rage. It was precision. And it had just begun. People always tell you weddings reveal the truth about families. I didn't need a wedding to know mine. I'd lived it my entire life. Growing up, Vanessa was the center of the Moore household. The golden child. She was 3 years younger than me, but you'd think she was royalty the way everyone catered to her. If she spilled juice on the carpet, my mom would sigh and say, "She's just little." If I forgot to set the table, I'd get a lecture about responsibility. If she brought home a B on her report card, it was, "She tried her best." If I brought home an A, it was, "Well, that's what we expect from you." It didn't take long for me to figure out my role. I was the responsible one, the one who should know better, the one they didn't have to worry about. I can still hear my mother's voice, sharp but dismissive. "Madison, you're older. Be patient. Madison, let her have it. Madison, you should know better." Those words followed me through childhood like chains. Vanessa was allowed to be messy, impulsive, spoiled. I was expected to be steady, quiet, dependable. I remember one Christmas when I was 10 and Vanessa was 7. I had saved up my allowance to buy my dad a small leather wallet. Vanessa handed him a picture she'd drawn, stick figures, scribbled hearts. He laughed, hugged her, and said it was the best gift he'd ever gotten. My wallet barely got a thank you. It wasn't just about gifts. It was everything. When Vanessa wanted the last cookie, I had to give it up. When she wanted to watch her show, I had to change the channel. When she cried, I was expected to comfort her. When I cried, I was told to stop overreacting. By high school, the difference was impossible to ignore. Vanessa struggled through her classes. I tutored her almost every night, while balancing honors courses of my own. She scraped by with C's and D's, and every time she passed a test, it was treated like a miracle. I graduated with honors, got a scholarship to college. My parents barely showed up to the ceremony. Dad said he had to work late. Mom had a cold. Vanessa had cheer practice. So I walked the stage alone, smiling politely while other families drowned their kids in flowers and hugs. I told myself it didn't matter, but it did. It mattered more than I wanted to admit. After high school, the pattern only grew stronger. I worked 2 jobs through college, lived in a shoebox apartment, and built my accounting firm from nothing. I never asked my parents for money. I never expected them to bail me out. Vanessa, on the other hand? She dropped out of community college, bounced between jobs, crashed her car, and needed a $5,000 loan. My parents handed it over like it was pocket change. When I asked why, my mom said, "She just needs more help than you do. You're the one we can count on." Count on. That phrase haunted me. Because being counted on didn't mean being seen. It didn't mean being loved. It meant being used. Even in my relationships, I carried that role with me. I dated men who leaned on me for everything: rent, bills, emotional support, and left me when they wanted something more exciting. One even told me, "You're great, Madison, just not exciting enough." I laughed it off at the time, but it cut deep, because he had put into words what my family had made me feel my whole life. Reliable, but forgettable. By the time Vanessa got engaged to Ethan, I thought maybe things would be different. Maybe helping with the wedding would finally pull me into the circle I'd been orbiting for years. When Vanessa first told me, it was over dinner at my mom's house. She came in beaming, flashing the ring like it was a trophy. "Ethan proposed," she squealed. Everyone clapped, hugged, gushed over the diamond. I said, "Congratulations," and meant it. Then I asked the practical question. "So have you thought about the wedding budget?" Vanessa's smile faltered. Ethan shifted awkwardly. My mom cleared her throat. "It's expensive," Vanessa admitted. "We're looking at venues, but," Ethan added, "honestly, we might have to push it back a year. I just started at the firm, and Vanessa's between jobs." I didn't even think twice. "Don't worry about it," I said. "I'll cover it. Consider it my gift." The room went silent. Vanessa blinked. Ethan stared. My mom finally said, "Madison, that's so generous." For the first time in years, I felt noticed. Needed. Vanessa hugged me, tears in her eyes. Ethan muttered, "Wow, thank you." For a moment, I believed it. That maybe this would be different. That maybe this time, giving wouldn't leave me invisible. But deep down, I should have known better. In my family, generosity wasn't rewarded. It was expected. And love wasn't given to the steady ones. It was always handed to the ones who demanded it loudest. When I offered to cover Vanessa's wedding, I thought it would bring us closer. For a brief moment, I believed it had. The night I told her and Ethan, I'll never forget their faces. "You're serious?" Ethan asked, blinking like he'd misheard me. "Completely serious," I said. "The venue, the food, the flowers, whatever you two want. My gift to you." Vanessa's hand flew to her mouth. "Madison, no. That's too much." My mom jumped in before she could finish. "Don't argue with her, Vanessa. It's her choice. And honestly, it's a blessing. Weddings are expensive." Vanessa looked at me with teary eyes. I don't even know what to say. "Say yes," I told her. "And let's make it a day to remember." For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't just the older sister standing in the background. I felt like I mattered. Within a week, Vanessa had me added to a group text labeled Wedding HQ. It was me, Vanessa, Ethan, and occasionally my mom. "Venue tours this Saturday," Vanessa texted. "Madison, you'll come?" Of course. We toured 3 venues that day. The first was a rustic barn outside Dallas, charming but too small. The second was a sleek hotel ballroom, too cold. The third was Willow Creek Manor, a sprawling estate with manicured lawns and a glass-ceiling reception hall. The second, Vanessa stepped through the doors. I knew her mind was made up. "This is it," she whispered, spinning slowly as if she could already see herself walking down the aisle. Ethan nodded. "It's beautiful, but the price—" "Don't worry about the price," I said. At the reception desk, the coordinator slid the contract across the table. "We'll need a $12,000 deposit today to secure the date." I pulled out my checkbook without hesitation. The coordinator glanced at me. "Name for the contract?" "Madison Moore," I said. Vanessa didn't object. Neither did Ethan. My name went down as the sole contract holder. Once the venue was secured, the rest of the planning snowballed. Caterers, florists, photographers, cake designers, rentals. Each meeting ended the same way. The contract slid across the table, and I signed. Catering, $7,000 deposit. Florist, $3,500 deposit. Cake, $200 deposit. Photographer, $5,000 deposit. DJ and rentals, $1,800 deposit. Every invoice went to my email. Every call came to my phone. Every contract bore my name. At first, I told myself it was practical. Vanessa was overwhelmed, Ethan was busy with work, and I had the financial stability to handle it. But part of me liked seeing it all come together under my control. Not because I wanted recognition, because for once, I felt like the foundation of something important. "Madison," Vanessa said one night on the phone, "I don't know how to thank you. Just promise me you'll enjoy the day," I said. "I will. You're amazing." I held on to those words longer than I should have. The first red flag came at the florist's. We sat surrounded by vases of roses and lilies, flipping through catalogs. "I love these," I said, pointing to elegant arrangements of ivory roses with touches of eucalyptus. Vanessa barely glanced at them. Too plain. What about lilacs? I suggested. They'd look beautiful with the venue's glass ceiling. She wrinkled her nose. Lilac feels cheap, Ethan chimed in. Babe, they look fine to me. Vanessa shot him a look. It's not your decision. I tried to hide my surprise. All right, then what do you want? Something bold, she said, flipping to a page of dramatic red and black arrangements. Statement pieces. The florist looked at me, waiting for approval. I hesitated, then nodded. All right, let's do it. The contract slid across the table. I signed. The second red flag came at the bridal boutique. Vanessa had chosen me to come along with her and her friends to try on dresses. I thought it was a gesture, a chance to include me. But the moment we walked in, her friends crowded around her, snapping photos, fussing over every detail. I hung back, smiling, offering an occasional opinion when asked. She tried on a strapless gown covered in sequins. Everyone gasped. What do you think, Madison? Vanessa asked, turning to me. It's stunning, I said honestly. She studied my face. You don't sound convinced. I am, I said quickly. It's perfect. Her friend, a girl named Haley, smirked. You're so serious, Madison. Relax, it's a wedding, not a business deal. Everyone laughed. I forced a smile. When it came time to pay the deposit for alterations, Vanessa stepped aside. Madison, you've got this, right? Of course I did. Slowly, the energy shifted. At first, I was the savior, the generous sister making the dream possible. But as the weeks went on, I became something else. The checkbook. Decisions started happening without me. I'd suggest a photographer. Vanessa would quietly book another one. I'd email catering options. She'd pick something else and tell me afterward. When I asked her about it, she brushed me off. Don't stress, Madison. You've done enough. Let me handle some things. But I'm the one signing the contracts, I reminded her. Right, but it's still my wedding. It was always her wedding. Never our family's day, never our effort, just hers. Ethan began to avoid me too. Calls went unanswered, texts delayed. At first I thought he was busy with work, but then I noticed the way he looked at me during group meetings. Guarded, like he wanted me gone. One night, I stopped by their apartment with fabric samples for the bridesmaids' dresses. When Ethan opened the door and saw me, he hesitated. Just for a second, but it was enough. Inside, Vanessa was laughing on a video call with one of her friends. The second she saw me, her smile tightened. Madison, she said, you should have texted before coming. I didn't think I needed to, I said lightly. They exchanged a glance. Well, Vanessa said, we're in the middle of something. Can you leave the samples? I'll look later. I stayed 10 awkward minutes, then left. The final straw came during Sunday dinner. I told my mom what was happening, how Vanessa was cutting me out of decisions, how Ethan barely spoke to me anymore. My mom put down her fork, sighed, and said, Madison, don't make this about you. I'm not, I said. I'm just saying it's strange. I've paid for everything. You'd think they'd want me involved. It's her wedding, Mom repeated. She's under stress. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally, I said, my voice rising. I've spent $30,000. How am I supposed to feel? Mom's face hardened. You did that out of love, right? Not because you wanted control. So let it go. Let it go. That was her answer to everything. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling and replayed every word. Don't make this about you. Don't take it personally. Let it go. It was the same script I'd been handed since childhood. The responsible one doesn't complain. The responsible one doesn't ask for thanks. The responsible one just gives. Quietly. Endlessly. I had thought paying for the wedding might change things. That maybe, for once, generosity would earn me a place at the table. Instead, it was just another way to be used. And the cracks I saw forming, the cold looks, the dismissals, the silence, were about to widen into something much bigger. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe Vanessa was just stressed. Maybe Ethan was just busy. Maybe I was overthinking. But little by little, the truth became impossible to ignore. One night I was scrolling through the bridesmaids group chat Vanessa had added me to. I hadn't said much in it. Most of the messages were about hair appointments, makeup trials, dress fittings. Then I saw it. A photo of blush-colored bridesmaid dresses, different from the lilac ones Vanessa and I had agreed on weeks earlier. "Love these," one of the bridesmaids had commented. "Perfect," Vanessa replied. No one had told me. I texted Vanessa privately. "I thought we were going with lilac." No response. I tried Ethan. "Hey, is Vanessa changing the bridesmaid dresses?" Hours later, a short reply. "Yeah, she liked blush better. Sorry, it happened fast. Sorry, that was it." I decided to be direct. I asked Vanessa and Ethan to meet me one Sunday morning at a coffee shop downtown. They showed up together. Vanessa looked immaculate as always. White blazer, perfect hair, polished nails. Ethan looked tired, fidgeting with his coffee cup. I got straight to the point. "I feel like I'm being left out. Decisions are happening without me. I thought we were a team on this." Vanessa gave me a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Madison, we appreciate everything you've done. Truly. But wedding planning moves fast. Don't take it personally." "Not take it personally?" I said. "Vanessa, I've signed every contract. I've put down every deposit. How is it unreasonable for me to expect to be included?" Ethan cut in before she could answer. "You've already done more than enough. Just let Vanessa handle the rest." I stared at him. I'm not asking to control anything. I'm asking to be respected. Vanessa's tone sharpened. "No one is disrespecting you. You're making this bigger than it needs to be." I sat back, stunned. So paying for everything means nothing? I'm just supposed to step aside now? Silence. Finally, Ethan muttered, "It's Vanessa's day, not yours." That line stuck with me. A week later, I got my answer about where I really stood. I was at home, cleaning up dinner, when I opened Instagram and saw Vanessa's new post. There she was, holding a champagne flute with another woman, a bridesmaid I barely knew. The caption read, "My maid of honor. Couldn't imagine this day without you." My stomach dropped. I read it twice, 3 times. No call, no text, no explanation. Just replaced publicly, as if I had never been asked in the first place. I dialed Vanessa immediately. No answer. I tried again. Voicemail. So I called Ethan. He picked up on the 4th ring, sounding casual. "Hey Madison, everything okay?" "Did you see Vanessa's post?" I demanded. A pause. "Yeah." "Then why didn't anyone tell me?" "She asked me to be maid of honor. I've been helping plan everything." He sighed like I was a nuisance. "Madison, it's not a big deal. Vanessa just wanted someone closer, a best friend, not just family." "Not just family?" I repeated, my voice sharp. "I'm her sister. I've paid for her entire wedding." "You're still invited," he said quickly. "You'll have a seat." A seat. That's what I was reduced to. The next day I went to my mom's house. I needed support, or at least some acknowledgement of how wrong this was. She was sitting in her recliner with a magazine when I told her, "Mom, Vanessa replaced me as maid of honor." She didn't even tell me herself. I found out on Instagram. She didn't look up from her pages. She's under stress. It's her big day. Her big day? I'm the one paying for it. "Madison," she said firmly, "you chose to do that. You did it out of love, right? Not to hold it over her head." "I didn't hold it over her head," I snapped. "But don't you think I deserved a conversation? Some basic respect?" Mom finally set the magazine down. "Sometimes it's better to just let things go. Keep the peace. Keep the peace." That phrase again, the one I'd been fed my entire life. "Why is it always me who has to keep the peace?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Because you're stronger," she said simply. No apology, no defense, Just another reminder that my strength was nothing more than an excuse for everyone else to walk all over me. For 3 days, neither Vanessa nor Ethan reached out. Not a word, not a text. The group chat carried on without me. Bridesmaids laughing, making plans, tagging each other. I was invisible. I tried to bury myself in work, telling myself it didn't matter. But it did. It mattered more than I could admit. Because this wasn't just about a wedding. This was about every year of being told to step aside. Every time I was told to give up the cookie, the TV remote, the recognition. Every time I was told to be patient, to be quiet, to be the strong one. And now, even after giving $30,000, I was still being erased. On Thursday morning, my phone buzzed. A message from Vanessa's number, but the tone was unmistakably Ethan's. Madison, after some discussion, we've decided to keep the wedding small and intimate. Only the bridal party and close friends will be included. We appreciate everything you've done and hope you understand. I stared at the screen, disbelief turning into something colder. No call, no face-to-face conversation, just a sterile text like a business memo. I replied with 5 words. Then I'll play my part. They didn't answer. That was the moment I knew. They had never really wanted me there. They wanted my money, my planning, my stability, but not me. Vanessa didn't want a sister at her side. Ethan didn't want me in the room at all. And my mom? She wanted silence. Always silence. For the first time, I saw it clearly. I wasn't excluded because I'd done too little. I was excluded because I had done everything. And they thought I'd keep doing it quietly. But they were wrong. This time, silence wasn't going to protect them. After that text, I thought I couldn't be shocked anymore. I thought being replaced as maid of honor without a word, being told to sit quietly in the back after paying for everything, would be the worst of it. But I was wrong. A few days later, my phone rang, and the name on the screen made me hesitate. Sam Harper. My best friend from college, though we hadn't talked as much in recent years. I picked up immediately. "Madison," she said, her voice careful. "Do you have a minute?" "Always for you. What's going on?" There was a pause. "I saw Vanessa's post about the new maid of honor. I didn't know you weren't part of the wedding anymore." I forced a laugh. "Neither did I. Found out the same way you did." Her silence told me she already knew this wasn't just about wedding drama. "There's something I need to tell you," she said. "And I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner." My stomach tightened. "Tell me." "It's about Ethan," she said quietly. "And about the past. Do you remember Eric?" The name hit me like a slap. Eric, my longest relationship. The man I'd thought I might marry once. We were together for almost 3 years before he ended things out of nowhere. He told me he'd fallen out of love. No cheating, no fight, just done. I had blamed myself for years, replaying everything, wondering if I was too boring, too predictable, not enough. "Yes," I said cautiously. "What about him?" Sam hesitated. "After you two broke up, I ran into him at a bar. He wasn't alone. He was with someone else. At the time, I didn't recognize her. I didn't think much of it. But now, seeing Vanessa's engagement photos and all these wedding posts..." She trailed off. "I'm almost certain the woman he left you for was Vanessa." The room spun. I gripped the counter to steady myself. "Are you sure?" "I'd bet on it. The timing matches. The look matches." I should have said something sooner, but I didn't connect it until now. I pressed a hand to my mouth, my heart pounding. My sister. My own sister. The same one who had been happy to let me bankroll her wedding was the one Eric had left me for. "She knew," I whispered. "What?" Sam asked. "She knew who I was," I said, my voice rising. "She knew exactly what she was doing when she smiled in my face and let me pay for everything. She played me from the start." "Madison," Sam said gently. "I'm so sorry." But I wasn't sorry. I wasn't sad. Not anymore. I was angry. And anger, after years of silence, felt like fuel. I sat there replaying every moment, the polite smiles, the way Vanessa avoided eye contact, the way Ethan had spoken for her like I didn't exist. They hadn't just excluded me by accident. They had built this entire charade on top of me, knowing full well I was the one holding it up. I thought back to the day Ethan told me I didn't belong, right at the entrance of the venue I had paid for. I remembered the way my mother looked away, the way Vanessa didn't defend me. It all made sense now. They never wanted me there. They just wanted what I could give them. I opened my laptop, scrolled through the folder where I kept every contract. Venue, caterer, florist, cake, rentals, photographer, DJ, all under my name. Every deposit paid by me, every agreement tied to me. I thought of my mom's words. You did it out of love, not to hold it over her head. No, I had done it because I wanted to matter. But if they could erase me after everything, then I owed them nothing. That was the moment my decision crystallized. If they wanted me out, then they could have a wedding without me. And since I was the one who made the wedding possible, removing myself meant removing everything. I didn't cry that night. I didn't scream. I didn't even text Vanessa or Ethan back. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat down with my contracts, and started making a list. Venue, catering, flowers, cake, music. Every call I needed to make. Every service I needed to cancel. I knew exactly what I was about to do. And I knew exactly how much it would hurt them. For years I had been the dependable one, the strong one, the one who knew better. But strength, I realized, doesn't always mean holding things together. Sometimes strength means letting everything fall apart. And in less than a week, Vanessa and Ethan were going to learn exactly what it felt like when the person holding all the strings finally decided to let go. I woke up the next morning clearer than I'd felt in years. No doubts, no guilt, no second guessing. Just resolve. I made coffee, sat down at my kitchen table, and pulled out the yellow notepad where I'd scribbled my plan. The list of vendors was neat and simple. Each name had a deposit amount next to it, every one of them tied to me. I picked up the phone and dialed the first number. Willow Creek Manor, this is Heather. Yes, hi, this is Madison Moore. I'm calling regarding the Ross Moore wedding scheduled for the 17th. I'd like to cancel the reservation. Her voice wavered. Cancel? Are you sure? I'm certain. I understand the deposit is non-refundable. Please send confirmation to my email. Of course, Ms. Moore. We'll handle it right away. I thanked her, hung up, and crossed the venue off my list. Next, Dallas Catering Company. This is Madison Moore. I need to cancel the Ross Moore wedding banquet. A pause. Cancel? Ms. Moore, the wedding is in a few days. I'm aware. Please confirm cancellation by email. Click. Then the florist, the cake designer, the DJ, the rentals, the photographer. Each call was the same. Calm, polite, final. Some sounded surprised, some annoyed, but none of them could argue. My name was on the contracts. My signature carried the authority. By early afternoon, it was done. Every service dismantled, every arrangement void. What had taken 6 months to build unraveled in a few hours. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the crossed-out list in front of me. For once, I wasn't the background character holding everything together. For once, I had chosen myself. The day before the wedding, the silence was deafening. No calls from Vanessa, no texts from Ethan. I half expected some last-minute message, some frantic attempt to guilt me back into place. But nothing came. They still thought I would take it quietly. On the morning of the wedding, I woke early. I didn't dress in black, like I was attending a funeral. I put on a simple navy dress, understated but strong, and drove to Willow Creek Manor. Not to attend, but to witness. When I arrived, the gates were locked. A lone groundskeeper was raking leaves near the entrance. "Excuse me," I asked. "Is there a wedding scheduled here today?" He shook his head. "Nope. Canceled days ago." I nodded, thanked him, and drove off. I didn't need to see what happened next to know. But later, The phone calls started. First, my mother. Her voice was panicked, sharp. "Madison, what did you do?" "Daniel said the venue is locked. Nothing's set up. The caterer isn't answering." "Ask Vanessa and Ethan," I said calmly. "Don't play games," she snapped. "The wedding is ruined. Guests are flying in. People are expecting—" "I was uninvited," I cut in. "They told me I didn't belong, so I made sure I didn't." "Don't be ridiculous, Madison. This is Vanessa's big day." "It was my money," I said evenly. "My contracts, my deposits. They didn't want me, so I took myself out. That included everything I brought with me." There was silence on the line, then her voice cracked. "They're talking about legal action, damages. You'll be held responsible." I picked up the wedding folder from my counter, the stack of contracts neatly organized inside. Every single contract is under my name. They never asked me to transfer anything to them. If they want to sue, they can sue me, and they'll lose. "Madison," I hung up. I didn't see the exact moment Vanessa and Ethan realized their dream wedding was gone, but I heard enough to imagine it. Daniel showing up to the venue for the final walkthrough, only to find an empty lawn and a locked gate. Vanessa frantically calling the caterer, the florist, the photographer, only to hear the same answer. Canceled. Their panic spiraling. Their perfect day unraveling in front of them. And me? I was at home, sipping coffee by the window. Calm. Because here's the thing people forget about the quiet ones. We don't explode. We don't beg. We don't scream. We calculate. And when we finally act, it isn't messy. It's precise. The wedding didn't vanish completely. They still had to marry after all. A courthouse ceremony was hastily arranged. A few relatives and friends crammed into a bland government room with folding chairs and fluorescent lighting. No music, no flowers, no cake, just paperwork and disappointment. I went, not because I wanted to celebrate, but because I wanted to see the truth written on their faces. Vanessa walked in with her makeup smudged, her smile forced. Ethan looked pale, eyes darting nervously. My mother avoided my gaze. The guests whispered among themselves, confused, irritated, wondering how a lavish estate wedding had collapsed into this. I didn't need to say a word. I just sat quietly in the back, my presence louder than anything I could have spoken. When the judge began reading the vows, a voice broke through the silence. My Aunt Linda stood up. 72 years old, sharp as ever, never afraid of honesty. She looked directly at Vanessa and Ethan and said, "Are we all just going to sit here and pretend? You kicked out the sister who paid for everything, and now you're standing in a courthouse instead of Willow Creek Manor. Shame on you," the room gasped. Vanessa froze. Ethan's face turned ashen. My mother hissed for Linda to sit down, but she didn't. "Madison made this wedding possible," Linda continued, "and you humiliated her. Now you're humiliated. Seems fair to me." I didn't move, didn't smile, didn't gloat. I just met Linda's eyes for a moment and gave her the faintest nod. The rest of the ceremony limped along awkwardly. No applause, no joy, just signatures on a page. When it was over, I walked out quietly. My silence said more than anything I could have shouted. That night, as I scrolled through my phone, I saw the fallout begin. A younger cousin had recorded Aunt Linda's outburst at the courthouse and posted it to TikTok. The video exploded. Millions of views in a matter of days. The comments were brutal. "She paid for everything and got kicked out? I'd cancel it too. Justice for Madison. This is the coldest, quietest revenge I've ever seen." Even major creators were reacting, lawyers explaining my legal rights, therapists breaking down the family dynamics, influencers praising me for finally standing up. Vanessa's Instagram turned into a war zone. Thousands of angry comments flooded her posts. Brands she'd hoped to work with unfollowed her. Ethan's workplace wasn't spared either. Co-workers whispering, jokes in the break room, his reputation collapsing with every share of the video. And me? I stayed silent. I didn't comment, didn't defend myself, didn't add fuel to the fire. I didn't need to. The world had already taken my side. For once in my life, I wasn't invisible. I wasn't the one who had to keep the peace. I was the one who finally ended it. After the courthouse wedding, I thought the story was over. I thought Vanessa and Ethan would just lick their wounds, pretend it never happened, and go on with their lives. But the world doesn't move that neatly, especially when it's been watching. The TikTok video of Aunt Linda's outburst spread like wildfire. By Monday morning, coworkers, neighbors, even strangers were tagging me in posts. Clips of Vanessa standing red-faced while Linda told her off were stitched, memed, and dissected. The hashtags were everywhere. Wedding fail, justice for Madison, City Hall drama. I hadn't posted a thing. I didn't need to. My silence made the story even louder. At first, I tried to ignore it. I went to work, balanced client accounts, answered emails, but it followed me. A barista recognized me one morning, whispering, "You're the wedding sister, right?" A client joked during a meeting, "Don't mess with Madison, she'll cancel your life." I just smiled politely. Meanwhile, Vanessa's social media was collapsing. Overnight, the curated image she had built of polished selfies and filtered brunch shots turned into a battlefield. Thousands of comments poured in. Some mocked her, some dragged Ethan, most defended me. She tried disabling comments, then made her account private, but screenshots were already everywhere. You can't erase the internet. Ethan wasn't spared either. He worked at a mid-sized firm, and within a week, the video had made its way to Reddit, then into his office. Someone printed a still shot of him at the courthouse, pale and sweating, and pinned it to the break room corkboard with the caption, "Don't piss off your sister-in-law." He stopped showing up after that. My mother called again, her voice sharper than usual. "Madison, this has gone too far. Vanessa is devastated. Ethan can't leave the house without whispers. Is this what you wanted?" I answered simply, "No. I didn't post anything. I didn't film anything. I didn't make this viral. I just canceled what was mine." "You humiliated your sister," she hissed. "No," I corrected her. "She humiliated herself. She uninvited me from a wedding I built, and the world saw it." There was silence, then the same old sigh I'd heard since childhood. "You always have to make a point, don't you?" "Yes," I said. This time I did. And I hung up. Weeks passed, and the cracks in Vanessa and Ethan's marriage started showing. A cousin told me they were fighting constantly. The money was tight, since the deposits were gone and refunds weren't coming. Ethan's pride was shattered. Vanessa's image was ruined. The fantasy they tried to build had collapsed, and without me propping it up, there was nothing left. One rainy Tuesday, Ethan showed up at my door. No warning, no text, just a knock. When I opened it, he stood there in a hoodie, shoulders slumped, eyes bloodshot. "Madison," he said quietly. I didn't invite him in right away. I let the silence hang. Finally, I stepped aside. He lingered near the doorway like he wasn't sure he was welcome. "I messed up," he admitted. I folded my arms. "That's one way to put it. You were right about everything," he said. "About Vanessa. About me. She never wanted you there. She told me from the start you were intimidating, that you took over every room, that you made her feel small." I let out a humorless laugh. "So the solution was to erase me? I should have stood up to her," he said. "But I was afraid she'd call off the wedding. I thought I could keep the peace if I just stayed quiet." "Sounds familiar," I said. He rubbed his face. "I don't deserve forgiveness, but I needed you to know I was wrong. About all of it." I studied him for a long moment. He looked like a man who'd lost everything. And maybe he had. "You knew how much this family made me invisible," I said. "And you let her do the same thing." He nodded. "I did." There was nothing more to say. He left soon after, shoulders hunched, footsteps heavy. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel sorry for him either. Just done. A month later, The gossip made its way through the family grapevine. Vanessa and Ethan had separated. She had moved back in with my mother. He had disappeared into silence. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I just sat on the porch one evening with a glass of water, watching the sunset, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. That's when my mother texted. "Dinner this weekend, just the three of us. Time to talk." I stared at the message. A year ago, I would have jumped at the chance, desperate to prove I belonged at that table. Now, I just set the phone down without replying. Because for the first time, I didn't feel the need to fight for a seat I had already paid for 100 times over. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their validation. For years, I was told to keep the peace, to stay quiet, to be the strong one who didn't need attention. And I played that role. Until the day I decided to stop. I didn't destroy Vanessa's wedding. I didn't ruin her marriage. I just stopped holding up the illusion. And when I stepped away, it all came crashing down on its own. The final twist wasn't that I canceled a wedding. The twist was that after all those years of being told I wasn't enough, I finally realized I always was. And for once, that was enough for me. Thank you for watching and staying with me through this story. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever faced something similar in your own life? Share your experience in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this story moved you, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep bringing you more powerful emotional stories like this one. Until next time, take care and keep your voice strong.